Okay, how are you doing, guys? Now everything is ready. Let's start with this. So, I want to listen your answers. What are the techniques that you use when you are usually reading in Spanish, let's say? How you can catch the idea that you are reading? And then, if it's possible to explain, how do you read in English? What are the techniques? How you can catch the message that you are reading? Please come on. I want to listen to you. Start practicing. Remember that this club is for you to practice. You can start practicing your, you can start practicing the way how you speak. Doesn't matter if you got mistakes, because that is the thing. So let's start listening. So please, I'm open to listen your ideas.
Okay.
Go on, please. Go on. Go ahead.
Um, First of all, I turn off everything,
Okay.
the radios, the TV,
All right.
and I used to be in a place,
Okay.
a quiet place. Then I try to be 100% concentrate
Concentrated. All right.
in order,
Yeah.
yeah, concentrated in order to understand what I am reading.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
Sometimes so in the university, uh, taught us to underline the main ideas.
Exactly. Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Uh huh.
I used to do that, main ideas, the secondary ideas.
Secondary ideas. All
Uh,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Great. Very good. And yeah, just in case you use one word in English that is concentrated, okay, or concentrate. Remember, please, that that is a false cognate in English. Try to only you use concentrate when you are speaking about chemical substances. All right, when you're speaking about your brain or your mind or your attention, you use the term focus. Okay, just in case. Very good. So you, in order to focus, you usually turn off all of the things that could distract. That is a very nice strategy. What else? What other things do you do, guys? Come on, come on, let us know.
Um,
Yeah, go on, Fabi.
Me, sometimes I listen relaxing music.
All right.
Sometimes um, also I need more concent. Very I I want to stay very concentrated in when
I
I
want to be very focused.
yes. Also this I listen classical music.
Uh huh.
Um, it's very nice for me. And it also I turn off the television or the radio
Uh huh.
because I this
Uh huh. Yes, it distracts. It distracts me. That is the way you say it.
yes
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Thank you very much, Fabi. Let's continue with someone else who would like to speak. Come on, guys.
Uh,
Yeah, go
Me?
on.
May I speak?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Cesar. Do it.
Okay. One thing that is so important in order to study,
Uh
I
huh.
think that is
Yeah.
the place, because,
Exactly.
for example, you need just a chair and also a table,
Exactly. Uh huh.
because if you are gonna study in the, I don't know, in the bed, it's not gonna be good. You need a good position in order to study too. And what else? And there are some people who prefer to study, I don't know, speaking, or and other people prefer to study and just reading in their minds. So,
Exactly.
uh,
Uh huh.
I can say that. Just that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Cesar. Yeah, that is something very important. Some people they prefer to read like speaking, like repeating, like pronouncing the words, and some other prefer to just read silently. Why? We're going to speak about that today. Let's continue. Somebody else, please. Come on, participate, guys. Come on. Have to speak. I don't want to speak today. Come on. Speak, guys.
Uh,
Yeah,
Good
go
afternoon,
on.
good evening.
Hello, Daniela. Continue, please.
Well, okay. Well, to in my reading that time,
Uh huh.
I I used to be in a quiet place, as my partners mentioned,
Exactly.
and first of all, I take the book and I read the first time very slowly in order to understand a little. But
Uh huh.
in that moment, I underline
Uh-huh.
the words that I don't understand in order to find the meaning of those words. Or if I don't do it, um,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
just I take those words and relate it with the context of the book. And
Yeah.
after that, when I have my ideas, and I know the words,
Uh huh.
I focus on the in the with the reading that I'm reading,
Yeah.
and I just that. But
Yeah.
uh, I have a little problem with my reading because
Oh,
of
really?
my others.
Yeah. What?
uh,
What is the
and
problem you have?
with in English,
Uh huh.
my problem is to find the main idea. I have a lot of problems with this,
All right.
and I can say that I will trust in you.
All
um,
right.
in my exams, I don't have a good score in my readings because every time I have the same problems, and I would like to some recommendations to improve my English and find the main ideas and be concentrated, or as you mentioned, focus on the reading.
Exactly.
Just that.
Focused. Uh huh. Focus.
Thank
Excellent, Daniela. Congratulations. Very good speaking. I really like it. Congratulations. All
you.
right. And also the information that you provide us was very, 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 important. Okay. I hope you could took notes about what Daniela said because we're going to speak about that today. Yeah. Let's continue. Someone else.
Teacher, me?
Of course. Go on, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Every time I try to think in English,
Sure.
uh,
Okay.
but yeah, but sometimes I have problems with the meaning of some words because I suppose I am reading something
Uh huh.
and I search a word and
Yeah.
I don't know what is the meaning. And in that case, I am very nervous. In
All
some
right.
cases,
Anxiety. Yeah.
yeah, and I lose the main ideas. Some case,
When you are
but
reading.
not all the time. But
Okay.
yeah, sometimes I forgot
Sometimes.
the reading.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Okay. Oh
no,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Go on.
but I search
Yeah.
in the internet and I found like a dictionary, but in English. I suggest you, teacher, or
Oh
my
really?
parents.
Great.
Yeah, it's
Why don't you
Merriam-Webster.
share
I
it?
don't know.
Why don't you share it on the
Yeah,
chat?
Merriam-Webster.
Okay.
Merriam-Webster. Yes, and it's a good dictionary.
All
With that
right.
dictionary, I learned a lot of words,
Oh
and the
great.
meaning it's in English,
Oh
like
awesome. Oh
Spanish
yeah.
dictionary.
Yeah, yeah. But absolutely in English, right? A
Yeah,
whole. Yeah, that is very important. What Anna has already said. That remember that you are now intermediate student. So perhaps you are low intermediate, perhaps you are high intermediate. But anyway, you are intermediate. Okay. So what it means that, for example, in the usage of dictionaries, you are not be able unless you are working as professional translators to use a bilingual dictionary. You have to use a monolingual, which is the one that Anna were suggesting us to use. Really recommendable. Nowadays, the good thing is that on the internet, if you just go and look for any monolingual dictionary, you will be able to find it in PDF, or if you prefer, you can also look for these dictionaries, the ones that are bilingual, as apps. Most of them are also in free apps on the Google Market. I really recommend you. There are, for example, Logman Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, Larousse, and the one that Anna said recommend us to use. Also, you can find it on internet for free in most of the cases. In most of the cases, really. So recommendable. Don't use bilingual dictionaries. And to start thinking in English, a key for starting thinking in English is to use a monolingual dictionary, because as you start reading the concept and all of the information about the word in your first language, it makes your brain works as it would be a native language brain. So that is the good thing. All right, good. Thank you very much, Anna, for that information. If you have something else to say, you can continue.
Yeah, but I have some problems with Google Translate
All right.
because
Yeah.
I suppose when I search the word cartera,
Uh-huh.
okay,
Okay.
the meaning, I have a lot of meanings,
Yeah,
okay,
usually. Uh-huh.
And get confused, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the thing is that, we have to be able to make a difference, to differentiate between what is to learn a language, which is what we're doing now. What we're doing now is learning a language. But at the same time, you remember that all of you are in this moment spoken people, English spoken people. Doesn't matter the level you are. You could be in basic, in intermediate, or in an advanced level, but anyway, you are now a spoken English users, right? So because you're using the language. So when you use the language, you have two ways in which usually you're going to use your language. One is on the context. So you travel to the place and you start interacting with people that speak English, or you use this language for your work, for your studies, and you start using English since an utilitarian way, right? But on the other hand, you have usually what happens in this level is that as you are a person that speaks English, you perhaps will have a neighbor in your area that will tell you, hey Jose, you speak English? Yeah, I do it. Man, I need a translation. Could you do it for me, please? I will pay. So you listen the word pay, you say, of course, I'm a translator. But let me tell you something. To translate is not as simple as it seems to be. Alright, to translate involves a long procedure that you have to study for doing that. It's not just to start translating. You at least need to have a minimum training about how to translate. And that's why Google Translate, which is the app, the most common app, and it's also for free. And there also you will find several others that also are for free that English students use, or any language student use for translating and trying to help their language learning. That of course it helps. I'm not saying that translation doesn't help. It helps a lot. All right. But the thing is that that if you are going to use Google Translate, that is not for that app is not designed for learning students. That is the thing. It is designed for professional translators. Just go there, and at the end you will find an option that says use Google Translate professionally, and it's for free. If you click there, you will have a beautiful platform if you work translating, and it's for free. So that's why when you are going to see that Google Translate, you have to, the only better way that you can use that app for learning a language is that it has this and it is also useful for our club, is the option that is listen the pronunciation of the word or the segment. So let me, well, what you can do is imagine that you are practicing for an exposition, for a lecture, and you are not aware about the pronunciation of some words, so you feel like, oh man, how do you pronounce that, and you don't have your teacher near. So go to Google Translate, and for that is really useful for us, the people we're studying. So go there and just write on Google Translator in English what you want to pronounce, and look at the end of the page. You will find a speaker, an icon. You click it and you will be able to listen the pronunciation of what you wrote. So that is the most amazing thing of Google, and the pronunciation is the English standard pronunciation, so it's good. So that is the way you have to use it, and of course it's really it goes also with reading, believe it or not, because when you read, remember that we read based on our memories. So when you're reading something, you start reading the text with the filter of your memories. That's why some books will be awesome for you, and some people will hate those books, because usually the book will be connected with something in the life of the reader. So reading is as deep as that, for example. Okay, so that's something very important that you should know, I guess. That's why I could continue speaking. What is that? What is the best option for us, free translator? If you want to work as a translator, you mean, Gladys? If you want to work as a translator, that is another thing. We're going to have another class for that. Yeah, so you can work it. Yeah, if you know how to. The first thing, if you want to be a translator, is that you have to domain the language you are going to translate at least into a 90%, at least, because the 10% that is missing, you will compensate with technology. Yeah, and that compensation that I said in the 10% is what you have to study. Usually in diplomas that you would find on the net regarding translation, there are beautiful programs around the world nowadays that online courses are fashionable. Let's say everybody's using online education, and you will find several cheap and nice training courses about translation, depending what kind of translation you want to do, written or oral. So is that, just look around, you will find beautiful material, beautiful courses, and when you feel you are ready, you just open your company of translation. Just you have to get a NIT, número de NIT in Bolivia, and just you start working. So it's as simple as that. You don't need so much. Just you have to know very well the language you're going to translate. That is the only thing you have to do very well. The rest are only details regarding translation. Okay, so that. Now, what other things can we say about? Let's start speaking about reading now. Okay, because the time. Now, all of you mentioned specific things about reading and how to read. Okay, but let's make a big difference between what is, well, let's conceptualize first what is reading in order to understand what we have to do, because the problem is this. The problem is that your reading, your writing, your speaking, your listening skills depend a lot, but a lot, from your reading, listening, writing, and speaking skills in your first language. So it means if you speak Spanish as your first language and you have problems in your Spanish, for sure that you will face the same problems that you are facing in Spanish in English. All right? And the same will occur with the rest. For example, if you don't read well in Spanish, you will not be able to read well in English or in French or in any language that you will be learning, because our brain uses the first language as the master language. Let's say it's like a computer. In a computer, if you want to connect 100 computers, connected all of them, you need one master computer that has to start broadcasting the signal. It's the same in languages. The master computer in this case is your L1. For example, if you speak Aymara as first language, you have to start learning English based on the rules of Aymara. For example, if you are learning a new language and your mother tongue is not Spanish and it's Aymara, you are obligated, it's an obligation from you to tell to your teacher that your first language is Aymara. Because teachers, we consider a lot the first language that our students are learning. Alright, most of students that don't succeed in language, usually in English, for example in El Alto, is because they learn, of course, using the Aymara, but their teacher, they never realize that this student language mother tongue is Aymara, so they didn't consider the morphological properties, the syntactical properties, the pronunciation properties regarding vowels, for example, of Aymara. Aymara only has 3 vowels, English 22. Imagine the big difference. So that's why you are always, if you have other language, tell to your teacher. Most of the teachers in all around the world are linguists, or they know about linguistics because that is your job. All right, so it's just like that. So we have to consider that firstly, that let's say the first language will be very important. So if it's so important, you have to consider, let's analyze our reality. Do you think that you learn how to read at the school in our Bolivian educational system? So do you consider that, let's say, imagine that in this moment you take a test for being part of a university, and it's a reading test. Do you think that you could pass the test based only on your reading that you learn at the school? Perhaps yes, perhaps no. But based on indicators, I'm talking about, I'm not speaking since Jose Luis Terán's opinion. I'm speaking about from an inform that came from UNESCO that said that Bolivian university system doesn't exist. And of course, the educational school system doesn't exist. That is what they said. So what does it mean? It means that our level of education in our country is so low. People from English, yes, that were part of our last webinar, in which Licenciada Evelyn Mamani talked about economics, and she explained us our location in economics in around the world. Bolivia is just the second, let's say, under us we have Egypt. All right, and Egypt is the last country in the world, and in education we are worse perhaps. So if you analyze that context, that most of you are at the school, most of you are at the university, and we know what is the reality. So perhaps we need to practice more. So the idea is now that if you want to increase your reading in English, this is the key. Start reading in Spanish. The question is now, how many books do you read in Spanish by pleasure? I'm not speaking because the university, I'm not speaking because your programs, because English, yes, program that they give to all of these guys a lot of homework. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about how many books do you read by pleasure in a month, let's say. 1 book, 2 books. How many, guys? Come on, let us know. How many books do you read? You don't read books? Articles? How many articles do you read by pleasure? Okay, no articles. What about newspaper articles? Ruth, continue if you want to speak.
Okay. When I was in the university,
Uh-huh.
because of my career is social,
When I was
I
at the
used
university.
to.
When I was at the university. I will interrupt
Okay,
you when you commit
thank
a
you.
mistake, so you correct it, okay? So you fix your English. Okay, continue, please.
Okay,
Uh
thank you.
huh.
When I was at the university, due to my career is social, I used to read a lot of books,
All right.
but nowadays I finished my career and I think that I don't read a lot.
All right. How?
Maybe I am trying to read in English.
Okay.
Uh, I try to do at least one or two pages a day
All right.
because some teacher recommend us that we need to read a lot. In that way, we can improve many things.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why I am trying to read
To read. Okay.
every day at least one page.
Awesome. That's good. You know, that is a good thing to read one page per day. It's good. All right. And you know that reading is a really nice way of getting knowledge. What about the rest? Some other people that would like to share their opinion. Also, in order to practice your speaking, you know. Come on. Okay.
Teacher,
Of course. Go on, Carla.
teacher, in my last year of the school, I read three
I
books
read. I
for
read.
social.
I
I
I
read,
read. Past. Remember.
read
I read. Uh huh. Continue.
three books
Okay.
for the theater,
For the theater.
but
Okay.
in previous years, seven books every 2 years.
Okay. 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 Right. So three books in 2 years.
No, in 2 years,
Okay.
I reading.
I read.
I read
Uh huh.
seven books.
Okay. Okay. A lot, right? No, it's not. No, it's not a lot. They are like 6 books. You said, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but for most of the people, perhaps that is a lot. Okay. Good. Very nice. So we have people that read in this club. That's good. Someone else that would like to share?
Can I speak?
Yes, go on.
Teacher,
Okay, let's go on like this in order. Okay, let's start with Liz, then goes Diego, and then Tatiana. Okay, let's start with Liz.
okay.
Uh, I I read 3 articles by week.
All right.
Uh, it is on Facebook platform.
Okay.
It is about horror movies or horror experience.
Okay.
Sometimes it's about curiosities.
Excellent.
I read that for pleasure, not for obligation.
Okay. Okay. For leisure. For leisure. Good. Very nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, that is a really nice way of also reading. You know, try to read. You know, magazine things. Condorito, guys, even is good. All right. Let's go on with Diego. Continue.
Okay, teacher. In the last year, I bought 4 comics for Marvel in the book fire, and I bought one book for the
Uh huh.
World War II.
Oh, great!
The
One
name
book.
of
One book, one whole book about the First World War, right? Very good. Yeah, that is very interesting. So you like reading about history, Diego, right? Things like that. Diego.
yes, teacher.
All right, that's good. Pretty good. Thank you very much, Diego. Let's go on with Tatiana. Go on, please.
Hi. Well,
Hello.
I read. I'm still reading
Oh,
books
great.
about Paulo Coelho,
Oh, great. Oh, that author is awesome.
Adulterio.
Mm-hmm.
I read Verónica Sin Morir
Okay.
every 3 months, I
Okay.
guess.
Cool. How many books do you read in a
And,
month usually?
and my thing is that I I can't stop to read. I have to finish the book.
All right, so you have to, so you start until you end the book. There is no another way for you.
Yes.
All right. And how many books do you read in a month?
Yes, there's no word to another way to one book per month. That's the reason because I
Ah,
finished them
okay.
in 3
Okay.
days, four
Oh,
days. Then I stopped and I relaxed myself because I read all the time.
oh, great. That's good. That's good. And what is your favorite book?
My favorite is Veronica Decides to Die
Okay. Why?
of
Yeah, by Paulo Coelho, right? And why? Why do you like that book?
I don't know. I think that the book is interesting because of the way that is interesting because Paulo Coelho tries to speak the psychological wave. I don't know, interesting psychological wave of people.
Uh-huh.
That's why for me it's interesting.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tatiana. Excellent. Thank you. You see, you have to read one book per month. It's awesome, right? Imagine, when I started, and perhaps it's your story, okay? When I started reading, I don't remember what's the name, Carlos Cuauhtemoc Sanchez, perhaps. I found a very nice book from that author, and I just get in touch with reading. I love it because it was the first time that I could understand something in a book, and then I met a friend of mine at the university, and she just gave me a book from that is my favorite book, and it's Ojos de Perro Azul by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Perhaps you read it. There is a version in English, beautiful version in English if you want to read that one. And then I started, and then you get like insane about reading, and you start like reading and reading and reading, and that is a good way. Just I started like Tatiana said, 1 month, another month, one book, and then the next month was like 2 books, then were 3 books, then 4, because as you continue reading, your brain gets really really fast in understanding. Then you will start devorating, eating books. Yeah. Okay. So one more participation, please, somebody else, and then we'll start speaking about techniques of reading. Somebody else that would like to share. Yeah, go on, please.
Okay. I wanted to say that we have to find
Yeah.
some way that people we have to make them like the reading. For example, some people prefer to read about horror things, um, history things, and other things. So I think also we can read about video games,
Exactly.
social networks, and I think that the main idea is that we have to find what do people like, what do people like, and if we know it, we can give them some book about that topic, and obviously they are gonna be interested about it, and they will want to read. I think that's a good idea.
Perfect. Yeah, that is a very nice strategy. Take it into account, and we're going to speak about that. Now, let's start speaking about those things, okay? So, regarding reading, something very important, and let me share, please, my screen, and we're going to go, please, for new people, perhaps I'm going to share in our chat our code for Google Classroom, where we have all of our materials, all of the videos of this club, and even though you have these videos in our Facebook page, and so you can have access. So the idea is that perhaps someday you have to work and you will not be able to be in our session. Don't worry, you have everything recorded and you can continue practicing by your own. That is the idea. In our platform we have in Google Classroom we have a book that is called 400 words for Toefl. We were working with that. No, I don't know if you remember, with the people that started with this speaking classes since the very beginning, but I'm gonna, this is, you can see the screen, right? I will show you up in a moment. I will display in a moment the, yeah, this is. Please go to your classroom. That is the code. Take notes in this moment if you want to. Just you can include yourself in our platform of Google Classroom. Okay. Try to participate in our classroom, because every month and a half we clean to all of our people in this platform, because remember that Google Classroom only admits 250 students in the platform. So sometimes we have some students that they don't participate, and it's like a space, for people that they want to participate, like you. So we organize some conquests in which you have to participate something really short in order to be sure that you are going to continue with us. So we check your membership, let's say, if you want to. But only for this. For the rest of our platforms, everything is open. Okay, this is only for that. So we want to benefit to most of the people through these programs. So I imagine that you have that. I'm gonna close it. All right. So then go in your Google Classroom to classwork. Look, there you are. There you have all of the conferences that we have until now. You will have in a moment when we end this one also there. And we are going to work with this. Look, you have their books, and you have main book TOEFL preparation. This is the only one, because I didn't want to include more books, because most of the books for TOEFL, all of them are really, really complicated to study. You need a lot of knowledge from linguistics, and that is not the idea. All right, the idea is that you study. So this book I consider is the best for TOEFL, because it is pretty simple, and it helps you with the most difficult thing in for any international test. What is the most difficult thing is terminology, because you know the language already. For example, you know how to pronounce it, you know how to speak, you know everything about the language. But what is your weakness? Let's say our weakness. I include myself. Terminology. For example, if you are in an intermediate level as you are, usually you unless you have already studied linguistics in any university in our country, perhaps these words will be strange or really new for you. Okay? Because these are the scientific words, a very nice summary of the 400 words that usually you will face if you take any international test like TOEFL, or any synonym from this. So, for example, in this book you have terminology about nature, science, mind and body, society, money, government and justice, relationships, culture, etc. All right. The idea for TOEFL is to pass TOEFL. Other key is to have a lot of background knowledge. So you have to be able to speak, to write, and to listen, and to read about nature. All of the things that involve nature. About science. Once when I took TOEFL test, I was at the university. I was at the university in those days, and that test in the reading section, couldn't believe it. We had a long, was not a really long article, but was like fragmented, and in the text you had, believe it or not, quantum physics. So it was an article speaking about quantum physics, and I didn't know what even was physics in those days. So you cannot imagine how difficult was that for me, and I failed that test, in fact. All right. Then several years after, when I studied at the university, I prepared myself, because the only thing for passing this is studying, practicing, studying, reading by pleasure, practicing with movies. You know, if you have a friend who speaks English, hey, come on, let's have a coffee. So practice. You know, I practiced like 4 years after that test. I took again TOEFL, and we have a similar. Was not the same text, of course, but it was similar one. Was not speaking about quantum physics, but it was speaking about physics. But since that NASA point of view, so again quantum physics, but let's say really far away. The article was showing other aspects. You know, was a very complicated text for the rest, but for me was not such that first time in which I failed. Why? Because I study my background knowledge. I started checking movies, reading books. Until now, I have the discipline. I don't know if it's discipline, addiction of watching at least 3 documentaries per day. But 3 documentaries per day about whatever. I have to continue learning because as I am now working as a teacher and I have to teach students to face TOEFL, also have to be able to speak about whatever, right? So this book tries to do that because tries to give you, let's say, the specific terminology. So and if you can see, the thing is your experience, how much experience you have in this area. That is the other thing. Then we will have more things about mind and body. This is, for example, regarding anthropology, sociology, those things regarding spirituality, ghosts, you know. But this, you could think that this is perhaps parapsychology. It's not that. This is all of the things that you see in this book are scientific. Sorry, because TOEFL test is a scientific test. It tests you how much you know about science, in fact, and if you know how to do that in English. That is TOEFL. More about society, you know. This is like the intro, and in here you have more issues regarding society itself. Okay, that also you have to know. For example, you have to know about wars around the world, regarding military operations, or social inequality, anthropology, you know, history. For example, regarding this in a usually in oral evaluations that you have in scholarships, they ask you to speak about a topic that you prefer, or sometimes they give you the topic that you're going to start speaking about. And something interesting is that you know, for example, about your history, or about the anthropology, or the society issues that your own country or area has. So if you speak, for example, about your culture, you will be able to go to those scholarships. That is what they value a lot, and that's why also you have the same in TOEFL, because TOEFL also will go in the same guidelines. Money, you have to know. Do you know about financial things? Accounting, for example, regarding financial systems, wealth and social class. You know that there are social classes. What's the difference between social class and, for example, discrimination, those things? All right, so all of those, you have to know about that. Government and justice, regarding your government, regarding justice in your country, and what is the difference between these governmental systems, justice systems that you have in your country, in contrast with Europe, with United States, for example. It's different. The police department is different, so politics are different. So you have to know that, right? That's why documentaries in English, if you want, that is really better, will help you a lot. Relationships, and again, culture. This is very, very important. All right. Regarding the last part, you have to know English culture, and that is a must. Doesn't matter what country you are coming from. The fact that you are studying English and that your final test, as Toefl or any similar test, is gonna be administered to you, uh, is a must for you to know about English culture, because that is the language you are learning. So if you're learning French, you have to learn French culture. If you are learning Aymara, you have to learn Aymara culture, and so on. So it's very important that you learn about Bolivian culture. So feel proud of your culture. Feel proud of being in this country. Feel proud of have these people. You know what is the once I was in a talk with the students talking about these things, and was very interesting that they said that the most beautiful thing of our country is that we are diverse, that we are not the same, we are really different each other. Go to United States, you only have white and black, no more. All right. Go to other places, you only will find or black, or in other places only white. But in our country we have all of those things. So that diversity, culturally and linguistic diversity that we have, is something beautiful, and we don't value that. Remember, this is a key for you. If you're going to apply to any scholarship, speak about this last topic that I talked to you. It's a key. You will then remember why I said to you to speak about that. Alright, so let's continue. And that is the book. I presented the book. I imagine that you have already also checking the book in your computers or phones. Today we're going to practice reading, but we're going to practice reading with some units that are in the middle, because they are like more developed. So let's wait for these two. Okay, let's go randomly to lesson 23. Go please in your books, on these books, to to lesson 23, that it's about employment. Who can tell us what is the meaning of employment? If it's possible you could explain it in English, would be awesome. If not, no problem. Who can explain us what's the meaning of employment? What does it mean, guys? What does it sound for you? You cannot use dictionaries. Please don't cheat.
The employment is related with the work that the jobs that
Exactly.
any person has.
Exactly. It is related with jobs, works that every person have. Now, what do you know about employment and jobs? Now let's do this. Remember, when you read, the first step is the pre-reading section. What is the pre-reading section? Is in which you start activating background knowledge. So you have to say, okay, employment. What do I know about employment? Now we have the concept, but now what do you know about that? What are, for example, the regulations of employment in Bolivia? Who can explain us really briefly? What are the legal regulations regarding employment in Bolivia? Who can let us know that? Somebody that knows about that and would like to practice. Bruno, go on.
Hello, everyone. I'm not sure, but I think that from the crisis of 1983,
Okay.
the regulations have grown stronger related to now it's harder to fire someone, for example.
Exactly.
You have to have most of the works have to have a social security too.
Exactly.
And if it's a formal work, has to have health assurance. I don't know if that's correct.
Exactly. Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bruno. That is all right. Somebody else that would like to speak? Would like to share with us?
Yes.
What do you know? Go on, please, Ruth.
Maybe I could add that the minimum salary, if I remember well, is to 2000.
I guess so. 2000 something. 2000 something,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, the minimum, right? Okay, good. What else? What else do you know about employment in our country? What is the crisis? What do you know about the because everybody, if you turn on your TV, you will see that everybody speaks about an employment crisis in Bolivia. What is that? Somebody can explain us? What is that crisis that everybody speaks about in our country? Sorry, I'm gonna share with you that. Okay, come on, go ahead, guys. Somebody, feel free of speaking. The microphone is yours.
Teacher, and not only in our country, like,
Yeah, go on, continue. Speak whatever you want to say. Go on.
because the economy has stopped, like in many areas of the
Uh-huh. And how?
related to commerce, for
Yes.
example, to exchange of services and
And goods.
I don't know
Goods.
how do you say goods exactly.
Goods and goods. Uh-huh.
So of course a lot of people have lost their jobs
Exactly.
or
Yes.
are about to lose it.
Uh-huh. And it occurs in all around the world, right? But imagine that is occurring in, let's say, a very first country like United States, and it's a crisis. Can you imagine how is the crisis in Bolivia? Somebody can explain that? Feel free, please. In contrast with
Yes.
continue. Go on,
Good
please.
afternoon, everyone. I think that the crisis on Bolivia is that we don't have more, I don't know, how do you say empresas?
Companies.
Comebacks that that get some security that they
Security, surveillance, right?
surveillance to
Security.
work free without some problems that is the most common in our country, and people prefer to be a commerciant and no work and I don't know, in empresa. How do you say empresa?
Company.
And funny because it requires some
It requires.
it requires something, and it's
Uh-huh.
a little difficult to enter to work on that.
Exactly. That's absolutely true. Very good. Somebody else that would like to continue?
May I speak, please?
Of course. Go ahead, please.
Okay. For example, in Bolivia, people prefer to, I don't know, prefer to sell
Uh-huh.
their things, their products, face to face. They don't want to use the computer, and also I think that it people must use the computer or the technology, because with the technology is the future. We have to start to use the technology in order to sell some things or buy. For example, we use the Facebook, but it doesn't have rules. For example,
Exactly.
if you wanna buy something, maybe that thing that you bought by Facebook, that thing is gonna be fake or something like that. So
Exactly.
I think that we can use the technology, because in Bolivia we don't use it, and it's part of our culture. And the future is in that. And with the coronavirus, people have to use yes or yes this technology. I can add it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Cesar. Perfect. Let's continue. This is the strategy when you are in classes like this, and perhaps you cannot speak because you are in the mind of us working, or perhaps in another class. I don't know. Things happen, or simply you are shy. You feel shy and you say, no, I don't want to speak. But you are listening. No problem. You just meanwhile you are listening, start analyzing how your partners speak, the ones that are participating, and how is the correction, and then see if you commit the same mistake when you speak in that way, and if that correction works with you, next time when you speak, you have to start using that correction. There is a linguistic theory that says that whenever you correct yourself 3 times, the 4th time is included in your brain. So the knowledge is acquired, and you will never commit the same mistake. That's why your teachers, a good teachers, always will start correcting every 3 minutes, okay? Because at the very beginning is very nasty. You say, "Oh no, come on, teacher, let me speak, please," you know. But at the very beginning it's like that. But then when you start I don't know, applying this technique, you will start speaking without committing mistakes. That is the way. You will see that it will work. Just do that. Don't worry, and you will see how it will the effect of that on your speaking performance. Cool, very good. You know, this section that we did in this moment, in which we spoke everybody about the topic that we're going to read, it is called the pre-reading section, in which we start activating about that. If I don't have the opportunity of speaking with someone before reading, because sometimes I don't have someone, I feel alone, I don't like people, I don't know, okay? I don't have a speaking club like this one, or it's Sunday and all the speaking clubs are sleeping, I don't know. So you don't have the opportunity of speaking with someone. The technique says that you have to only speak with Google. Google.com. Remember that has more than the 99% of the global information just there in your computers, in your phone. So you can access even to my life. I can access to your lives from Google. Just try it. It's really odd, that part, but if you check that Google since for these things, before to start speaking with someone, start Googling it, start checking employment. Okay, go to Google, employment in Bolivia, okay, and check all of the pages, check the images, watch some videos. If you get some forums, go and participate. All right, take your time, because remember that reading and take into account this, what I'm gonna say now, reading is and have to be a ritual. Reading is a ritual, and it must be like that. Okay, and part of that ritual is that you have to go to Google and start checking. You know, if you're going to take 1 day for informing yourself about what you're going to read, you have to do it. For example, I'm gonna go out to another context, and imagine that your final test. Remember those great tests that usually are at the universities. All of the universities at least in Bolivia, if you don't want to get your title by doing a thesis, you have the other way, that is to apply for this great test, which is a Toefl. It's the same like a Toefl, but in the area that you are going to be evaluated. If you're going to be evaluated in economics, it will be about economics instead of English, but the knowledge would be like the same, right? And the same will occur in the rest of the careers. And most of the people, I personally consider that is the hardest way of getting out from the university. I really respect to people that told me, man, I graduated from the university from a great test. Oh man, really? Come on, it's a lot of information you have to read. There are more than 70 books, perhaps 100 that you have to know by heart when you are in the test. But one key for passing those tests is to do what we're doing now, because most of university students, when they are trying to study for those tests, because the main skill you are going to put into practice, that is what? Reading. But reading in Spanish, All right, and so it's the same. So usually people goes and start reading at the very first time. That is not like that. Your brain is not prepared for reading at the first time. It's like you are obligating your brain to read, and of course your brain is going to say, "No, man, I don't want to read." You have to seduce your your brain before reading. If you seduce your brain is going to be open and you will be able to learn whatever you want to. But how you seduce your brain is to do this part of the ritual. You speak with some other, all right? Have a conversation with your friend or with your colleague, with your teachers, professors at the university. Most of them are really open to speak about their subjects because they love that. For example, I teach English at the university, and if somebody comes to me and starts speaking, hey man, what about some techniques that you use for teaching? It's my area. I will speak hours and hours and hours about that. So you can do that. Look for some specialists. All right. If you don't have that option, go to Google. That's why you have to, instead of having that conversation, now have your conversation with Google. Start getting that information, check videos, attend to conferences. There are beautiful conferences about topics that you can get even in 3 minutes, videos, I don't know. Once you have all of that information in your brain and you feel that you're ready, because when you know that you're ready for starting reading is whenever you feel interested on the topic. If I present the topic to you and say, hey guys, you have to read about employment, and just like that, you will say, no teacher, I don't like to read, I don't like employment. I promise myself will never work in my whole life, so I don't like employment. So perhaps you could say, right? So if you don't like the topic you are going to read, you will not understand it. That is a rule in reading comprehension, and that is a rule that we teacher manage, you know, because you have to be interested on what you read. Now, how you get interested in what you read is to do this part, Google. All right. So if you feel interested, so if at the very beginning when I say, guys, you have to start reading about employment, you don't feel interested about that. Nah, come on, teacher. And then after doing your pre-reading stage, Googling, going to speak to some friends, if you love libraries, this is the best moment that you can go to a library and start checking books. Okay, so for example, coming back to that example of the university, if you're going to study for that big test, hard text, okay, go to the library or to Google or to Wikipedia. Okay, Wikipedia is good for that. And go to the referential bibliographical part. There you are the books that you are going to study. So start checking. You don't need to read, just check the author. Always another rule in this section, in this part, is you have to start checking about the lives of the author. In this case, we don't need, because this is a science book. Okay, so in this case, the author is Toefl. So in this case, I have to go and start realizing what Toefl is. It is a test. What is the level? How much does it cost? I don't know. How many times in the year I can take it? Can I take it only once? Twice? Is there a limit? You know, that is the author. If you are going to read something about Gabriel Garcia Marquez, you have to indagate about Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So he's from Colombia. He's a journalist, I guess. He never studied how to write. He just learned how to write since his profession, that was to be a journalist. I don't know. He won a Nobel Prize in Literature because his novel 100 Years of Solitude. I guess he has like 20 books written. I'm not sure. I'm activating my knowledge, okay, regarding some knowledge that I'm not sure that I know about the author, in this case Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I'm going to go to Google and check about that. For example, the other days I realized that this author created a new gender in literature, and that's why he got this Nobel Prize. That was, I don't remember the name in this moment, is Realidad Fantástica. I don't know if you can help me with the name, if somebody knows.
Magic realism.
Exactly, magic realism. That is the name. So, and continue activating, because for sure, this knowledge that I am activating is gonna be part of the text. So it is very important. So of course, after doing all of this research in Google, that's why nowadays I know a very nice professor that he says that to be a teacher is gonna be a job that is gonna be in souls, because in the future students will not need a teacher, they will need only Google, because all of the answers of life will be there. And you have to only go to Google, all right, for this part. After you do all of this section, and you only in the moment that you feel interested about reading, you can be sure that you did it well. If you don't have that interest, it doesn't mean that you did that in a bad way. It means that you didn't look in a good way. So you need to continue looking for information. You need to say, okay, always whenever you do this part, you have to go like saying, I want to learn, and I'm going to learn. Forget all of your traumas from school regarding learning, okay? Now you have to go and say that. And that is the best technique whenever you go there. And you always will learn. For example, I hate mathematics. I don't know if it's your case, but I hate mathematics. I'm dyslexic in numbers more, and I really have problems with mathematics, but sometimes I have to read about mathematics. So the other day I was trying to do that, and I was checking on internet, and I found very nice information about mathematics that I really now I feel interested a lot about learning mathematics in a good way, and about reading books about mathematics, and I'm looking for that because I indicate in a good way. So that is what you have to do. So when you feel that you are good about reading that book or text, you start, okay? And in that moment starts the reading section moment. This reading section moment could last like, if you are a really fast reader, like 5 minutes. As if it's something really long and perhaps your strategies are not so good, the whole life, okay? Because there are books that you can never understand, never, absolutely never. For example, sacred books, the Holy Bible. That is a book that absolutely nobody could understand until now, and that will occur with the rest of the Holy Bibles of the rest of the religions, so because they are texts. But even if you go to science, you will find some other books that until now they are continue being studied, because when you read and read and read and read and read, you cannot understand it. Okay, so it's like an adventure. That's why reading is beautiful. So in this moment, when you start reading, new techniques will appear, because now you have to start reading. You have to have, for accomplishing this reading section, you have to work with 3 types of readings. I recommend you to take notes about this. The first reading is a fast reading. First reading is a fast reading. Remember the word fast. The second reading, and also each reading that we're mentioning is like a micro stage. All right. The second reading is a reading that will be done very carefully. So reading carefully. word by word if you want to, analyzing grammar. Now, you remember all of the grammar that you learn in your courses, that you learn at in your language schools regarding English, and you said, when I'm going to use this is the moment. All of the strict grammar that you were supposed to learn, I mean, for example, to know the difference between clause and sentence, to know the difference between simple tenses and past and perfect tenses, and continuous tenses, passive tenses, active, and for example, modal tenses regarding modal verbs, right? And those things, grammar, that thing that every language student hates. Yeah. All right, that grammar is useful now, because if you remember your grammar lessons, when you study grammar, you learn the structure, and then your teacher always teach you something. But sometimes students usually don't listen that part. Is the usage of the structure. For example, let me get an example. Passive voice, the nightmare of most of us, right? Give me a moment. Somebody's knocking the door of our meeting, and I want to open the door. All right, I'm here. Okay. So grammar, right? So grammar is a very complicated thing, and you have to start using now grammar, especially in that part of the usage, right? That your teachers used to tell you. Is like, for example, passive voice. Passive voice, the structure. I'm talking about grammar, structure. You need subject, verb to be, then the verb in past participle, then the preposition by, and then comes the agent, right? That is the form. That is the structure of the in grammar, right? Then we have the usage. The usage means what is the meaning of that sentence, because as a word, when somebody says to you house and you imagine a beautiful house, when somebody uses a passive voice, something occurs in your brain and some schemas were activated, and you perceive a very light meaning that we call grammatical meaning. That is the name of that. If you want, you can research on the internet grammatical meaning. This grammatical meaning is, for example, in passive voice, the usage. When do you use passive voice? You use passive voice when you want to invisibilize, all right, the subject of the active voice, and you want to don't mention to the subject, and you want to focus the attention of the receiver of the message on the object. An example: imagine I am a journalist and my friend is let's say the police department chief, all right, in I don't know, North Carolina, let's say. I'm inventing. And this guy yesterday night, he killed someone, and this someone was a black man, okay, because this man was a very intolerant man. That is the original new, let's say. I'm a journalist, and I'm supposed to show that, but it is my friend, and more than that, it is the police department chief. So perhaps I could get into trouble if I mention his name before at least I get more proofs, let's say. But I want to this new, everybody could know about that. So I use passive voice, and I said, in order not to mention the 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 subject because it's the person who provokes the action. I don't mention the man, and I directly say a black man was killed, and I don't say by, you know. And in that moment, so I'm not mentioning the author, but I'm mentioning the fact and the object. That is for what passive voice is used for in real life when you go out from the books. Journalists, lawyers, if you're studying laws, also you will have to use that. If you're studying linguistics and you're specializing in translation, you will have to do that. And most of the professions that have to work with language will have to do that. What we were talking about. So that meaning is the meaning that you have to use when you are reading. Now let me show you how. And that is what you have to do in the second reading carefully, paying attention to that especially. And in the last part, the last reading is the, let's say, the productive reading, let's call it in that way, is in which you are going to get a product from the two previous readings that you did. All right? And only in that moment in which you get this product, this stage ends and starts the last one that we're going to talk about in a moment. So the first is the fast reading. The fast means that you scan really fast. You don't stop in parts of the book. Just start checking. You check titles, subtitles, keywords. You check graphics. You check bibliography. Usually, most of the books you have the biography of the author, and I don't know. You can do this extra linguistic research about author's life. Then you check editions, in which year the book was edited, in which country, how many editions has. For example, this part is very interesting. When you have a book that is usually has only its first edition, and the edition is, let's say, from 20 years ago, it is not a good book, right? Or it's a very classic book. But usually, if it doesn't have more editions than one, it is not a good book. Perhaps it could be a good reference for practicing. All right? But for an essay, for example, if you're going to write an essay, it's not a good reference. But imagine that then there is one book that everybody speaks about, and it comes from linguistics area, but all of the rest of the areas also speak about that. Is a book from Noam Chomsky. Syntactical Structures, I guess is the name. But this book was re-edited, so like 24 times, I guess, perhaps more. So why? Because the importance of the book. And so imagine that you go and you want to read that book, and you have that the first edition was in, I don't remember, people from linguistics could help me with the year. I don't remember in this moment. But let's say I'm inventing. Okay, let's say the year is 20 years ago. The same case. I guess it's the case regarding Noam Chomsky's book. And you have until now. The last time that I checked that book, it got 23 editions. So it was like the 23rd edition. Why? You say, but 23 times this guy edited and edited and edited. Yes. Why? Because first, if you are in your computer in this moment, if you are getting your phone, if you have your TV there perhaps, or any kind of technology that uses artificial intelligence, okay, artificial intelligence was, well, at least the linguistic part of artificial intelligence theory was established by Noam Chomsky. And that's why, thanks to that part, then engineers could create these machines that are helping us now to do for example, this conference. All right, and because of that importance, the book had like 23 editions, you know, and that moment you say, oh, it must be very important book. All right, so usually you check those things. That is very important in that moment, because now you are indagating into the book. That is to read. To read is not only to you know, I'm going to speak just for a while in Spanish, okay? Por ejemplo, en nuestro sistema educativo nos enseñaban solamente a leer un párrafo y te decían, lea, y tú solamente leías en voz alta, ¿no? Y tú creías que leer era eso. Eso se llama solamente decodificar el texto. Estás simplemente decodificando algo que ha sido codificado. Leer significa poder entender el significado al 100% con el contexto incluido. So, it means that whenever you read, you have to include the context. So, if you analyze that, what we learn at the school, and this is not only the case in Bolivia, this is the case in all around the world. And people that studies linguistics knows about this, and this phenomenon is called oh man, I forgot the name. It's functional analfabetism. Is whenever it's like in Spanish, analfabetismo funcional. So it occurs whenever you can do that reading what in the schools we are supposed to learn, okay, but you end reading and you don't understand anything, but you know all of the words. If the text has 100 words, you know all of the words individually. If you separate each word individually, you know the meaning of each word. But when you try to understand in context, you don't understand absolutely anything. That is called functional analphabetism. And all of us, especially in Latin America, and I'm speaking from UNESCO's informs, you can check reports, they are on internet. All of us in Latin America, we are at least functional analphabets. Alright, and in the rest of the countries also there are big percentages of population that also have this. Believe it or not, people that reads in English, that they are native speakers, that they come from US, from Europe, also they have this problem. So they know every single word, but they don't understand what they are reading, because it's a problem of reading. Why? Because you don't follow these steps. Pre-reading, checking, you know, this is a ritual. We are doing single by single item. You are understanding the author, the text. Now we are indagating in this moment, for example, the types of reading. Okay? And now continue with that. In the third type of reading is what we're going to start doing this, and this is the book for that. Look at this verb, adjective, and look at this part. Usage tips and part of a speech. That is what you have to use grammar for reading. So when you know a word, remember that each word has a grammatical category, noun, adjective, etc. Remember that each category has a specific function. For example, verbs denote actions. Depending the type of verb you're using, a modal, or if it's I don't know, you know, transitive verbs, intransitive verbs, and so on, the meaning is different. You know, remember that. That's why grammar is important. When it's transitive, it's something. When it's intransitive, the meaning is another. When you are using a modal verb, it's another meaning. When you're using a verb in a progressive tense, it's another meaning. So that's why verbs are different, and that's why you have this, right? If it's a noun, also it's another meaning. Nouns have other meaning. They are different. They represent things in our reality. So they have a huge classification that I recommend you to check, and that helps you. For example, imagine that you're reading. You don't know what's the meaning of compensation, but you know you don't know the meaning, but you know that it's a noun, and but you know that it's a proper noun. So it means that perhaps it's the name of an entity or something, so you can start relating those things. But in this case, it's only the noun that comes from the verb. Is the verb into a noun, let's say. Then you have compensatory. Okay? This is an adjective. Now, adjectives has other things. They are characteristics. Okay? Characteristics and so on. And adverbs, for example, here I have an adverb. Adverbs, you know that they have all their different. So, for this is what I use. Now, imagine that I'm reading now. Imagine that I'm trying to read this by using this technique. Okay? I will please use Spanish in this moment because I will use very technical terminology in English. So in linguistics I could use in English, but they are really tricky. Okay, so I will try to use in Spanish that. Por ejemplo, en esta parte lo que se hace cuando se hace esta lectura que les voy diciendo, para el inglés tienen que ir haciendo esto. Fíjense, este es el truco. Por eso se lo explico en español, para que todos lo entiendan, que no hayan malentendidos, sobre todo por el tema de los malentendidos, porque yo sé que pueden entender todo. Ok, entonces vayamos. Primero es cuando yo estoy haciendo mi análisis de lectura de comprensión, mis mejores amigos son los signos de puntuación, puntos y comas. Los puntos me dicen que la idea termina y que lo que viene después es la idea que empieza. Las comas, dependiendo cuál tipo de coma sea, recuerden que hay 19 tipos. Dependiendo del tipo de coma también me va a dar un significado. Primero siempre empiezo por los signos de puntuación. Entonces primero aquí ya sé dónde termina y esta coma que está ahí. Ahora la coma me está diciendo algo. Nunca se salten una coma. Una coma que se salten y van a llegar a malentender pero todo el texto. ¿Ok? Eso es bien importante. Una sola coma es suficiente para que todo el texto cambie de significado. Por eso la importancia de los signos de puntuación. Por ejemplo, acá vamos a decodificar qué tipo de coma es. A ver, dice, this job requires a dynamic person. Ok. Requires a dynamic person, someone who. Ok. Por ejemplo, esta coma está aquí por culpa de este relative clause, ¿no? Ese es un pronombre relativo. Y recuerden que cuando tenemos un pronombre relativo que está en función de cláusula adjetival, todo eso es lo que viene después de will es un adjetivo, es una cláusula adjetival, como pueden darse cuenta. ¿Por qué? Porque está dando características de someone. ¿Y quién es someone? Someone es el que requiera, es la persona que requiera este trabajo. Entonces, la característica de persona es toda esta oración. Ven, ya estoy leyendo. Pero ni siquiera ya todavía sé el significado, pero ya estoy leyendo cómo va el tema de las características. Esto es una característica, o sea, un adjetivo que le está dando una característica a un nombre. ¿Cuál es el nombre? La persona, porque esa persona, ¿recuerdan la regla de relative clauses? Siempre se posiciona el relative y inmediatamente hace referencia al nombre que se va a posicionar o otro relative que le va a dar la significación, porque recuerden que como son pronombres, un pronombre solamente existe cuando existe el referente, y a veces el referente es otro pronombre. Cuando tienes esos pronombres que son referentes, así como cadenita, se llaman los famosos pronombres indefinidos, porque no definen nada, solo te sirven para encadenarte. Y el someone es uno. Recuerden sus libros, para eso te sirven tus libros de inglés. Este es el pronombre indefinido someone, ¿se acuerdan? Anyone, someone, ese grupito son el grupito, ¿no? Y este hace referencia a quién, a person, pero person está en función de nombre, y dynamic por lo tanto es el adjetivo, porque pueden ver, aquí esto han aprendido también, es una frase nominal, el núcleo es person, adjetivo 1 dynamic, y a es el determinante, y por lo tanto es un artículo. Entonces todo esto es el núcleo. Esa es la idea principal de esa oración. Estoy hablando de una dynamic person. Ahora, ¿cuál es la característica? Que está siendo buscada. Ya, están buscando a esta persona acá. Entonces, ya lo he entendido, es mucho más fácil de entender. Entonces, me está hablando de que se está buscando a una persona dinámica, la cual busque cierto tipo de oportunidades, que busque oportunidades y que no se quede alrededor de ellas, o sea, que no espere, sino que es una persona que busca. Entonces ya es mucho más entendible. Se han dado cuenta del manejo de la estrategia, es gramática. Es pura y simple gramática. Lo que han aprendido en sus clases lo aplico aquí. Y en el inglés lo fácil es esto. El inglés es organizado, eso es lo bueno. Todas las oraciones, si ustedes se dedican a leer en inglés varios libros, varios textos, en automático tu cerebro te dice, automáticamente aprendes a detectar que este es el sujeto, este es el verbo y este es el complemento. En este caso es hasta aquí atrás. ¿Ok? Porque siempre, siempre en el 100% de las oraciones, excepción que unos casos raros que ya los conocen, el sujeto va a aparecer al principio. Siempre va a venir el verbo al medio, siempre, excepto que sea un cierto tipo de oración. Ay, ¿cómo se llaman esas? Las indicativas. Una oración indicativa, ¿no? Que está con un to have, to speak, esos no necesitan. O que venga un gerundio, ese tampoco necesita. Es como dicen, reading is lovely, ¿no? Entonces ya no necesitas, ¿no? Y siempre va a ser al medio el verbo. Y siempre, o sea, tú encuentras al verbo y te das cuenta que el verbo está conjugado, o sea que hay una relación semántica gramatical entre el sujeto y el verbo, entonces ese es un verbo conjugado. Y quiere decir que ese es el verbo principal. Por lo tanto, todo lo que viene después, desde ahí, si ese es el verbo principal de toda la oración, desde ahí hasta el punto final, para eso me sirve la puntuación, es que es el complemento. A eso en gramática le llamamos el predicado. ¿No se acuerdan? El predicado es sujeto y predicado. Y el predicado se divide en dos, en verbo y complemento. El complemento a su vez se divide en complemento de objeto directo, complemento de objeto indirecto, y luego vienen los complementos adverbiales. Ese orden en inglés es fijo, nunca se mueve, por eso es fácil. Fíjense, objeto directo, la cosa. Recuerden, el objeto directo siempre es la cosa. Objeto indirecto, la persona, y ahí aparece la persona. Ven, siempre es en el mismo orden en inglés. Y como están hablando de la persona, se van a quedar hablando de la persona, y luego vienen los adverbiales, que aquí no hay adverbial. En vez de un adverbio, directamente termina ahí. La estructura de esa oración es sujeto, verbo, objeto directo, objeto indirecto y ligado a una cláusula adjetival que está dando características del mismo sujeto, de la misma cláusula. Es cíclico. ¿Se dan cuenta? Ese análisis hago. Eso es lo que tengo que hacer así, paso por paso. Pero ahora, ¿cuándo lo hago? Me dirá, pero teacher, o sea, no puedo hacer pues todo este análisis durante todo el libro que tiene 300 páginas. Voy a perder mi vida haciendo eso. No, esto no lo tienen que hacer con todas las oraciones. Tienen que hacer con todos aquellos lugares de lo que están leyendo no entiendan. Esta estrategia te sirve cuando no entiendes. Digamos, estás leyendo, buscaremos uno que no entendemos. Están facilitos. A ver, este parece medio difícil por el willingness. Digamos que estoy leyendo ¿no ve? Y no entiendo. Lo leo una vez, no entiendo. 2 veces no entiendo. 3 veces no entiendo. Y no entiendo, y no entiendo, no entiendo. Simplemente no entiendo. Y no entiendo, me estoy refiriendo a esta oración. ¿Ok? Y entonces cuando he llegado, miren, la estrategia dice, hagan la prueba. Una vez, no entiendo. Hagan la prueba, pónganle más empeño en la segunda vez de entender. No entienden. A la tercera hacen lo mismo, pero así poniéndole full empeño, concentrándose full y no entienden. Incluso con diccionario. Recién utilizan esta estrategia de hacer el análisis con todos los significados y la gramática. ¿Okay? Y eso es lo que se debería hacer en los segmentos largos. Por ejemplo acá, the cities, willingness, tararán. ¿Okay? Entonces lo primero es, ¿qué habíamos dicho que es el primer paso? ¿Qué tengo que verificar primero? ¿Quién nos dice? ¿Quién nos recuerda? Step 1. What is that? Step 1.
Las comas y puntos.
Exactly. Entonces me voy. Signos de puntuación. Signos de puntuación, recuerden que son comas, puntos, paréntesis, apóstrofes. En inglés hay un signo bien nuevo que no tenemos en inglés que se llama el hyphen. Investiguen. Hyphen. ¿Ok? Ese no tiene el español. Hyphens, etcétera. Acá en nuestro ejemplo tengo dos signos de puntuación, 1 y 2. El primero es este apóstrofe que ustedes ya saben qué es el buen genitivo. Ese es el genitivo del inglés. Entonces, ven ahí al ser genitivo ya implica automáticamente pertenencia, algo le pertenece a alguien, allá, eso debe estar hablando de pertenencia. A ver, seguiremos. El otro punto es el punto final y no hay más. Entonces, si es un punto final directo y no hay comas, eso quiere decir que la oración debe ser simple, o debe tener un solo verbo, o son dos verbos bien fáciles, o una sola idea grande. Normalmente, cuando tienes un punto y no hay comas, o puntos y comas, cosas así. Entonces, ya tengo una idea. ¿Están viendo? Estoy indagando. Ahora voy al siguiente. Ahora empiezo a analizar gramaticalmente. Paso 2. Busco al buen verbo. Tengo que encontrar el verbo principal. Eso es clave. Entonces busco, subrayo o marco todos los verbos. Verbos, verbos, verbos. Aquí hay uno, support. Verbos, verbos, gave. Move. Sí, esos son los verbos, ¿verdad? No sé si han encontrado más. Me dicen. Está bien, support, gave, move. Esos, 3 verbos, ¿verdad? Ok, sí, son 3. Entonces, una vez que tengo los verbos, luego tengo que identificar cuál de esos 3 verbos es el verbo principal. Porque normalmente los otros verbos son los verbos que van después del verbo principal y que no nos interesan porque eso solamente nos dan referencias. Tenemos que encontrar el principal. No encontramos el principal, no podemos hacer nada. ¿Cuál es el verbo principal? Es el verbo que está conjugado. El que tiene una relación intrínseca con el sujeto. ¿Cuál será? ¿Será support? ¿Será gave? ¿Será move? ¿Cuál será? Gave. ¿Por qué? Lo puede explicar en español, no hay problema. Estamos en la hora en español.
Porque antes de ese verbo hay un letra de sujeto, public school.
Muy bien, muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Está muy bien. Ok. ¿Alguna otra razón más? Ok. Perfect. Muy bien.
Excuse me, could you repeat please the characteristics of the principal verb?
Sure. The principal verb should be conjugated and should has an intrinsic relation with the subject. So it must be like linked to the subject. That would be impossible to move it and to have a semantic relation also with the subject. Yes, was correct. Gabe is the one. Ahora, ¿por qué? Porque analicemos el primero, support. A ver, todos deben tener la famosa lista de verbos regulares e irregulares que nos dan los teachers, ¿no es cierto? Si tu verbo tiene el base form, si mantiene el base form, no es el verbo conjugado. No es el base form. ¿Ok? O sea, existe una gran posibilidad de que no sea si se mantiene el base form. ¿Cómo te das? Y luego, ¿cómo es que te vas a dar, que digamos vas a darte cuenta? Porque normalmente vas a tener el base form y luego vas a tener una partícula. Como tú, o van a aparecer partículas después, INGs, por ejemplo. Recuerden que el tú y el ING, cuando no están trabajando en tiempos progresivos, corresponden a tiempos verbales impersonales, o sea que nunca van a trabajar con sujetos. Entonces no son verbos. Fíjense acá tiene el to, por lo tanto ahí no está. Otra vez, to move tampoco. No son conjugados. La otra es de que el verbo conjugado mantenga una relación intrínseca. Ahí tienen el sujeto. Ese es el sujeto de oración. No, perdón. Ese es el sujeto de oración. ¿No? Y obviamente, como tienes delante el sujeto y luego tienes el verbo, listo, primer indicio. Tienes una gran probabilidad de que ese sea el verbo. Segundo indicio, relación intrínseca con el sujeto. No lo puedo separar. No, no se puede. Hay una relación porque incluso cuando lo lees suena bien. El suena bonito, eso sirve para esta parte. Entonces dices, schools gave. Allá, no, suena bien, sí, puede ser. Entonces, y la última prueba es de que haya transferencia de material gramatical entre el verbo y el sujeto. Y ahí sí hay porque el verbo está en pasado. Por lo tanto, está transfiriendo información del pasado al sujeto. ¿No? Entonces, eso es súper importante. Entonces sí, por eso es que gave es nuestro verbo conjugado. Entonces ya tengo la relación. A partir de eso yo puedo armar. Entonces, ¿de quién estoy hablando? Esta es mi idea principal. El sujeto siempre es la idea principal. Encuentras el verbo principal y inmediatamente el sujeto que esté en relación con ese verbo es la idea principal de lo que se está hablando. Entonces ya se dan cuenta, en lectura de comprensión con eso ya tienes una gran ayuda. Gran ayuda, sobre todo en esos textos que son súper difíciles. Y luego lo demás ya es complementario, entonces es gramática. Entonces, it is willingness, como esto es pertenencia, estás diciendo los deseos de la ciudad son los de dar soporte a las escuelas, dando un incentivo, ¿no? Y aquí viene, ¿no? El verbo, y ahí viene verbo, inmediatamente no tiene objeto directo de cosa, pero sí de persona. As. Y an incentive. ¿No? Y aquí están sus dos. Este es este es el objeto de persona que debería estar en realidad después de incentive, pero en este caso, como estamos utilizando el pronombre, tiene que ir pegado al verbo porque es una colocación. Revisen colocaciones. Hay listados muy buenos en internet, colocaciones, en inglés collocations. ¿Ok? Hay colocaciones en donde la partícula del objeto indirecto, sobre todo, de la persona, se tiene que pegar, se pega al verbo y no lo puedes separar. Entonces, tomen en cuenta eso. Entonces, toda esa gramática te sirve. Y ahí viene luego el verbo, el objeto, la cosa, siempre es la cosa, la persona. La persona, la cosa. Y luego, fíjense, viene to move here to young children. Esto es una característica, es un adverbial. ¿No? Entonces, es una cláusula adjetival que está calificando al sustantivo incentive. Siempre tienes así un sustantivo, luego viene una oración que normalmente está ligada semánticamente al núcleo del sustantivo que viene antes. Así se comporta el inglés. Es bien común. A eso se le llama cláusula. Cuando viene después de un sustantivo, normalmente la cláusula es una cláusula adjetival. Recuerden, lo han visto en sus clases de inglés. Y luego cuando viene normalmente después de un verbo o de una idea muy fuerte, normalmente a veces son cláusulas adverbiales. Eso lo han visto también. Repasen, cláusulas adverbiales. De eso es de lo que estamos hablando. Y por eso es que me sirve, por eso es que tus profes te dicen, tienes que aprender a identificar, porque eso te sirve cuando aprendes a leer. Y ahora imagínense si ya saben la regla, cómo escriben. Escribir ya es mucho más fácil. Vas a escribir cosas mucho más sofisticadas, mucho mejor armadas, utilizando buena gramática. Y también leyendo. Porque el que lee bien, escribe bien. That's true. If you read in a good way, usually you are a really good writer. That's the thing. Okay, so like that is the last technique, and this is what you have to do until the end. All right, until the end of this, of this section, and the final step of this section is that you have to get, and that is in which starts the last section, which is the post reading stage. In the post reading stage, what you do is to make recommendable a mind map, as we said in previous sessions. If you don't want to, you can use conceptual maps, you can use summaries, you can use any resource that you could use for synthesize your text. So you make a mind map or something. Why? Because at the end, if you do that in that section, that is your product. So that means that the next time, imagine that you studied for Toefl with this book, okay? You work with this by following all of our steps that we talk about today. So you end until the end, and then you create a beautiful booklet of mind maps of each lesson. So you have in which you have all of your notes about new vocabulary, grammar, the notes that you have from this club, etc. So beautiful and nice notes that you have there. Okay, imagine that. And you have that beautiful booklet, and that is your product. Because then imagine, because remember that TOEFL or any of these language tests in any language, the official ones, they are not forever. So you take TOEFL, and I guess that now it's only 1 year that it's available. So it's like your credentials. So you have to update it every 1 year, 2 years. In this case, I guess every 1 year you have to update it by taking it again and again and again and again and again. So if you are studying in a university in a foreign country, you will perhaps be forced for taking about several times these tests, because this is not your mother tongue. So all of the universities have these kind of regulations. But imagine that then in the future you have to study for this. You will not study again. Forget it. It's a lot of time invested, a lot of pages. Impossible to do it again, for sure. That's why you need this third stage. As you have your booklet, instead of study all of that again, you just check your notes, your product. You can do it perhaps in 30 minutes, just remembering all of the things, and then to go back to the book only to check some details. Let's say you will take time like 3 hours, 1 day, let's say, in the worst of the cases for studying. All right, but not like in the first time in which you studied the whole book like in 2 weeks. So the last stage is for you to shorten that this same procedure, but for future times. And with this last part is in which you realize if you really understand the text, because meanwhile you are doing your mind map or whatever you prefer you do, you will realize if you understood yes or yes. You have to be clear with yourself. If you say no, I don't understand anything, so you have to start studying. So you have to go back to the first stage or to the second stage and to redo the work again until you feel that you are good with that. But don't lie yourself. Don't lie to you. You can lie to whatever you want if you want to, right? But don't lie to you. Don't lie to yourself. If you feel that it is not okay, that you need to continue studying, don't say like, perhaps you listen that voice sometimes that says, no man, you did it, it's okay, the test won't be so difficult, come on, let's go with some friends, let's have a party, I don't know, let's do something else, let's watch a movie, because it's enough, it's okay. Don't do that, because you are lying to you and you're gonna fail, or at least you have a really high percentage of opportunities, let's say, that you would fail your test in any subject. No, I'm not talking about only TOEFL, because what I said to you now, what we share with you today, it comes from from a from some techniques, studying techniques that people uses in other areas, but they are really mostly used in languages. In any language, you will be able to use this. So this is what you have to do whenever you read. Okay, I really recommend you to start working with this material, with the material that you have in your platforms. I will continue uploading more books, more things that would help you for your studies, okay, for developing your language. And that, I don't know if you have any question for starting closing our today's session. Any question you have regarding this, regarding perhaps, I don't know, whatever you want question. Go ahead.
Did you?
Yeah, go ahead.
In some part you were talking about the speaking, and you said that if we don't have someone who someone with we can practice our speaking, we can practice in Google.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, in fact, the idea of that. How come?
How Google work?
Like this.
How we can practice?
I will show you in this moment. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because the thing is, you know, that whenever, if you're with your friend, when you're having a conversation, speaking about the topic you're studying, your brain starts in a mode of activation that starts activating your knowledge about that. It's strange because it doesn't occur. It doesn't occur whenever you're alone. You need someone to speak, and in that moment, it occurs. That's why it's very important, this part. But sometimes, perhaps you don't have that moment to that person to speak with in that moment. So in that case, you go to Google, because Google also can activate. The idea is not to speak, of course. The idea is to activate your background knowledge. Suppose that you are going to, let's use the same, employment. So you go to Google and you say employment. Always start by your country, by your context, because you will understand it always in a better way. Employment in Bolivia, like this, and always in English. Don't use Spanish. And look, even I'm starting checking. I can start checking. If you don't like reading, because there are people that whenever you see this, you say, nah man, I'm not gonna read. Forget it. Alright, no, don't worry. It's Google. You have images. You can check images. Check. In this part, the only thing you do is to go and check. Get I don't know, a pizza, get a Coke, and start checking. Check these graphics. Look, unemployment in Bolivian risks. Look at that. Look this. Oh, man. High, really high. Look this other. So start checking like this. Start making a relation between your context. In your city, if you live, I don't know, in El Alto, how is that? If you live in Cochabamba, how is that? How people from other cities in this club, I guess. You can see in Santa Cruz, I don't know, how is that? Right? And you see then, perhaps, look at this one. Usually these ones are beautiful. I like those ones because you see per years. Look, in Bolivia, this is agriculture. Oh, nice, look. Since 1976. Oh, man. And it is almost the same, right? So you can start doing, so you have to do this analysis. It's like you were having a conversation, but with Google. Then you can go, I really recommend you to go to videos, because the best. So you go to videos, and usually you will find some videos from some institutions, usually from other countries in Bolivia. Go and start checking them, play them, and so on. So that is the idea of working with Google. Look, there you have, this is the page. You can go there. All right, and there, the video must be there. I don't know. Okay, so you have to You have to. That's why I recommend you, in order not to get lost, as I did in this moment, look for videos in YouTube. If you don't have here, go to YouTube simply. Go. But remember that YouTube is also from Google, so it's the same. YouTube, and it's for free, and that is the good thing, guys. It's for free. You don't need to pay more than your expenses on internet service, but then you go to Google and you write the same, unemployment or employment, the same in Bolivia, and then you can continue. Then United States, in the world, is your curiosity. Is if you're really curious, you're gonna be usually readers are really curious. A good reader is a really curious person. That's why usually they start reading. So that's why you have to work with this. So let's say employment. Yep, in Bolivia. Okay, there you are. Look, really fresh. Well, not so fresh, but you have there some information. You can watch it, and it's even interesting, right? So you do that, and that is the way how we should work with Google services. Okay, well, that, I guess, I don't know if you have any other question.
Yes.
Of course, go on.
On the one hand, I heard that some people says that when we read, we have to try to understand in the context. Context. We
Yes.
don't have to search. If we don't understand some word, we don't have to look the dictionary.
Yeah.
We have to try to
Exactly.
understand context. But on the other hand, other people say that we can look the dictionary if we don't understand, and I am confused. Which
Okay.
one is the best, or how it works?
Yeah, well, of course, those techniques that you mentioned, they work. We're not saying that they don't work, but the thing is their effectiveness and their long-term, I don't know, memory income, if you want to, let's say. The problem is that, well, I recommend you the one that we did today. In order to start, well, when you are going to get the meaning of a word from the context in a reading, which is what most of teachers recommend, only works that technique when you work with this technique, the one that we learned today, but several times. So you have to practice. The key in here is not to study. This is not to study, because you don't nothing to study. You don't have nothing to study. This is to practice. So you have to read one article, then 2 articles, 3 articles, but using this technique, pre-reading and doing in the way as we did today. Reading and post-reading, following those steps, being really ritualistic. That is the word, being. And if you do that several times in a very frequent way, you will realize that in a moment you will start doing that very fast, fastly. So, and in that moment is in which you will start not needing a dictionary when you don't understand a word, and it's automatic. That's why when I teach always sometimes English, and I'm doing this, and my students usually ask me the same, but teacher, how can I do this? There is no a magic trick. There is no something you have to study. Only you have to practice, and to practice this pre-reading, reading, post-reading, and just that, and you will see how it works. Yeah, that is, I guess, my response for that. Okay, any other question?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, the last question for ending. No questions? Okay, well, no worries. And you imagine that perhaps you will have some more questions meanwhile you're practicing. I recommend you guys start practicing. Remember that being on this is not just to wait until the day of the test. The thing is to start studying lightly, relaxed, no stress. If you're stressed, you won't learn. If you won't learn, you failed. But if you study, scheduling your studies, let's say 1 hour per day, and your testing is in like 3 more weeks, no problem. No problem, absolutely. All right, so do that. That is the thing. Okay, so I hope you like this session. We're gonna continue with this Friday with some. We're gonna practice more speaking. Okay, just to give you an intro about what we're going to do on Friday. We're going to practice how to speak about what you write, which is something very common in English intermediate advanced courses in English especially, right? So in which usually you have to write an essay, and then then you have to speak about the same essay. So how you do that in a good way, and that is also very very nice technique whenever you also have to do or perform those lectures and English classes that in advanced courses your teachers request to you to do. We're gonna learn some techniques about that. So we're gonna meet on Monday. Sorry, on Friday. I mean another day. Okay, that, and for ending, just to let you know that we are with admissions at Inglés Yes in the last module for people from El Alto who would like to study freely. Okay, it's for free. We're going to be also people that are in this program at the end, they are going to receive a certification from USA Embassy and Unifrance University. The most important requirement is that they should be between 14 years old and 20 years old, and to live in El Alto City. And that if you know someone perhaps that knows, and they have to have your level, like the level that you have in this club of English. Okay, they must know English. All right, but if you know someone, perhaps a friend of you, a relative, okay, please tell about these scholarships. They will be really useful for them, because then all of the graduated people will be part of a very exclusive group of the embassy that usually they receive scholarships. So nice and interesting things on one hand. If you know someone, please let these people know about these admissions. On the other hand, we have also the sponsoring of Instant English Club, which is the website which we are transmitting today through Facebook and through the web. And also we are opening some language classes. This is for everybody. English Yes is very for young teens. Okay, but this other club is for, these other classes are for everybody who would like to learn English since zero. Okay, they are very absolutely really cheap. Okay, and it's in fact for sharing this knowledge, right? For having more people learning this language that nowadays is very necessary, especially for this new context that we are living in the world. All right, nowadays knowing English would be a really big benefit, huge benefit for you. So in that way, so we are promoting these massive English classes that are 40 bis, I guess, per month, and it's a whole program. So if you are interested on that, or you know someone that perhaps needs these courses, don't have money, but they want to study, all right, they just can get in touch with us by this website, okay? English Instant English Club, and the rest of the other pages that also were transmitting this. Okay, so that and um, have a wonderful day and continue studying English, please. It's a beautiful language. Bye bye, guys.
Bye, teacher. Thank you very much.
Bye, coordinator.
Bye bye. Bye, guys. See you.
Thanks,
Bye,
Pablo.
coordinator.
Bye bye, guys. See you.